Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's October 24th, 2020. Sports with Mono and Mono, and I'm here with my partner, Steve.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show.
Yep.
Back-to-back shows for me. How about that?
Yeah. A little email from one of our longtime listener, James Walsh, saying, welcome back from Steve and his secret missions. Papa Boyington.
Black Ops, need to know basis. Let's just say the mission was accomplished, and
Good.
America is safer for it.
Well, welcome back, Steve.
Nice to
welcome
be back.
Nice to have you on 2 consecutive shows, right?
Yes.
So where do we start? I'm going to give you the token here and bring it up. Where do you want to start?
Well,
The NBA's done, right? Well, there's a couple of things we'll talk about with the NBA.
I already miss it. I miss it so much already. What is it, about a week?
Well,
It's got to be the World Series.
if we
Let's
talk
go.
about it, why don't we just bring it up? And again, our first segment sponsored by Coriano Trucking. But Stan Van Gundy lands a job, right? He's going to be the teacher for Zion for the Pelicans.
Right.
He's got a pretty good record overall, actually. 500 plus.
If you remember my little joke earlier in the week between us, who does Stan Van Gundy remind you of? Of a famous adult star.
Oh, of course. Ron Jeremy lookalike?
For our audience out there that may
Right.
want to get a giggle.
I think they got the same trainer.
Well, Ron Jeremy's not going to be around attending games anytime soon, apparently.
Right, I don't know if they have TV at the Sing Sing or wherever.
Oh, they
he's
got
ended
TV.
up. Okay. But anyway, so he gets the job, and Tyrone Lue gets the
House
job.
then?
No, Clippers.
Yeah, the Clippers are. Yeah, he was under
I mean,
consideration.
you think they're going
for
to be
Houston.
better off without Doc Rivers and Lou running the show? And he's begging that Kawhi Leonard doesn't go anywhere, but
Why would Kawhi Leonard go anywhere?
because he wants to win a championship, and he's not going to win one with the Clippers and Tyrone Lue or whatever.
He lives in Los Angeles, right?
Okay.
He's the marquee guy making tons of cash, correct?
Okay.
Okay.
Just bringing it up.
No, but that's some NBA news,
That's our NBA news.
right? But back to, I think, again, the World Series is this week, and that's probably got to be the lead story for us to
Start
discuss.
us off, Coach.
No, I think it's been a good, two well-deserving teams, right?
Two
Listen,
best teams.
The LA Dodgers we talked about, and it's no surprise that they're there. I mean, did they, have to
I've been
perform-
on their bandwagon.
Did they have to
since day
perform
one.
some CPR against the Atlanta Braves to get there? No question.
And they did.
They did, but they're there. And Tampa, you got to tip your hat again.
Kid Rosarina is tearing it up. I mean, 8 home runs in the postseason. It's pretty good.
Right, but
Asterisk season.
what the Yankees spend, etc., and what Tampa spends, etc., and Tampa has their number, I think that's cool. And we're diehard Yankee fans.
I know.
Right?
But I'm going to say this.
They deserve to be in the World Series, is my point.
No question. We agree on that. I'm an American League guy, obviously.
We all, yeah.
And but I'm actually rooting for the Dodgers, and you know why? I love this Dave Roberts. I think he's awesome. I think he's a great manager, and he comes off as polished and as awesome. And it's hard to believe that this is the Dave Roberts that was stealing bases that won, beat the Yankees in the 2004 series.
Yeah,
It's
he
like he's aged
contributed.
100 years,
Me?
Great guy, though.
I don't root for the Dodgers. I'm rooting for Tampa Bay, not just because it's an American League team. It's more, how do I say this?
Yeah, but you and I appreciate the history of the Dodgers,
Of
right?
course,
Right?
of course.
Great ball players
Of
across
course.
the board, and
But to me, it would feel better if Tampa won this.
I think they're going to get their day in court at some point.
Oh, I
but
think
don't it's gonna
Cinderella.
be-
I don't think Cinderella's getting a date.
No,
to the
what I'm saying is they're going to get their day in court coming. You know, they got a good team, and if not this year, next year, whatever. I think it's the Dodgers. They're not going to lose 3 World Series.
Now, if the Dodgers do win it,
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of happy that there's. Is there going to be an asterisk?
Yes.
Yes. So
Let's get that out of
they
the-
won it in '81. Was there a asterisk with that? Yes.
What,
That was
strike season?
Yes. Yeah. Fernando Mania. The Yankees went up 2-0 against them. Dave Righetti was actually a starting pitcher for the Yankees. And that-
81 was the strike season. Yeah. Okay.
the other significance about that series was the moniker the boss bestowed upon Mr. Dave Winfield, Mr. May.
I knew it was Mr. May.
Of course, but the point is,
Great line
he
by
went
the boss.
he went 1 for 22 in the World Series.
But he actually hit the ball very well. Had a great series leading up to the World Series. But in Showtime, you're right.
But the thing about this
Numbers don't lie.
yeah, but
You
the
got it.
thing about that moniker is Dave Winfield is Hall of Fame. When you think Hall of Fame, just a great guy, character, the whole thing.
Couldn't hit a curveball outside.
But
there,
the
you know.
point is, right, Mr. May,
Great line.
never ever can you
Live that down.
live it down,
I got you.
right?
I got you. But I you know what, Steve? I'm watching the Dodgers, and this Mookie Betts is tearing it up, right?
Guy's awesome.
And
We've talked about him.
And the Red Sox got to be saying, what were we thinking, right? You know, payroll, is payroll really an issue in Major League Baseball anymore? There had to be something else to let him leave and go to
Well,
the
what I
Dodgers.
hope they're thinking when they sit around in their meetings, how can we possibly justify now David Price they got rid of, and ironically he's on the LA Dodgers. Not that he's
Not a factor, obviously.
but the point is they were paying so much money to like guys that was so ridiculous, and they let Mookie Betts go out the door because they didn't want to pay him, and all this guy we've talked about it, and he's proven he is a
over
top,
and over again, he's proven.
he may even be the second best ball player.
Top 3, let's put it
Oh, he's
that
definitely top 3.
Yeah.
But not just hit, he's all around defensively, arm, speed.
way. And dare I say this, the Pete
Clutch.
Rose style of baseball, right? You know.
He is a 5-tool guy,
Yeah, absolutely.
right?
Making great catches,
And he's
stealing
a good
bases,
guy.
hitting home runs.
So I actually root for him.
Me too.
But I'm rooting for Tampa to win the World Series. Are they? I think the Dodgers will win this.
Well, let's talk about it. Dodgers are up 2-1,
Right?
right? And I think the key is we know Clayton's going one more time. And, you know, if they can beat him, then they have a shot at this. I still think it's going 7 games. But, you know, that's the key. And we talked about Clayton, and he
Yes.
brought up his postseason record, which isn't great.
Okay, so he had a serviceable start, game 1.
I think better than service.
Yes,
You know.
I'm acknowledging that, but he
Okay.
still has a long way to go.
You don't think he's got 2 in a row in him in the postseason based on his record? I could see where you're coming. But
Listen, it's a catch-22. You would think so, but his track record is such that, right?
I think he's going to come up huge and pitch a gem, and because, you know, that's not going to tarnish his career.
Do you know the answer to this Clayton Kershaw question?
Go ahead.
Who was his catcher in high school? Starting NFL quarterback from the University of Georgia.
Oof, boy.
In the
I'm
league,
going to
at
say
least.
Matthew Stafford, maybe?
Correct.
Is that right? Wow, Steve puts me on the spot, and Jim comes through.
Way to go.
All right. I did not know that. That's my Johnny Carson.
That's right. They grew up in Texas together,
Excellent.
right?
But I'm thinking he's going to come up big, and he's going to get that ring, and I'm happy for Roberts, and you know.
So what? You think Clayton Kershaw is going to start over Doug Rao?
Wow, that's going back to
Right?
the 70s.
Yeah,
right?
back to the Dodgers rotation, right? Don Sutton, Doug Rao, Tommy John,
No, but looking
Bert
forward to
Hooten.
Well, we throw out the one question. Remember, Reggie Jackson hit 3 home runs or 3 different pitchers on 3 pitches. Who were those pitchers?
Bert Hooton,
Was one.
Elias Sosa,
The other?
please. Charlie Huff.
Yeah, I'm just throwing that out there. I know our fans.
That
know
is, that is wiffle ball stuff against Charlie Huff.
But I was talking about that with last night about that moment in sport. Reggie Jackson hit 3 home
It
runs.
really was.
It was unbelievable.
It really was. And I hate Reggie Jackson. And I've met Reggie Jackson, right?
Did you?
Yeah, in Boston. I met him and Jim Rice, actually.
Oh, awesome.
Jim Rice.
2 Hall of
Let me
Famers.
tell you, I'm walking out the door of this Chinese restaurant on Boston University, which is,
I got
don't know, you can hit a golf ball to Fenway Park, right?
4 iron.
But we're walking out, me and a couple buddies, and the door opens. When I say there was an imposing figure in the hallway,
Big man. Yeah.
it wasn't Reggie Jackson. It was Jim Rice. Jim Rice was an imposing figure.
And I'm going to guess he was as cordial and as polite
absolutely.
as I would expect him to
Jim
be.
Rice, that
Excellent.
the
Good
best
to
thing.
hear.
Well, the best thing I want to say about Jim Rice is, in the late '70s, his excellence was like kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Underrated or that type of thing.
Not the Yankee fans. He
I
wasn't,
understand that, but Jim Rice is a bona fide Hall of Famer who was a great player.
And it took forever for him to get in the Hall of Fame, by the way, which I don't understand.
So I was excited to see Jim Rice, and then I turned to Reggie Jackson, and I said, "Your hand is dirty."
Good honeymooners reference.
Thank
there.
you.
But great, awesome. That's
Right.
good nostalgia right there. But let's see what happens, right? Game 4 tonight.
Yeah.
World Series, and it's been pretty good. I've actually kind of forgotten that it's only a 60-game season because it's been pretty good, Very good, actually.
Right?
But before we move off of baseball, I wanted to just bring something up. And you mentioned, Steve and I were talking about before the show, we both like Pardon the Interruption, right? Steve likes Kornheiser, Wilbon. It's actually pretty good. It's only a half an hour, and I
Let
like
me say
it.
this about Wilbon, can I?
Please.
He's very knowledgeable. He's educated. I get it. He's a Northwestern. I get that. He's a Chicago
guy.
I get it.
No question.
But he comes across to me as a little bit too pompous for me.
Agreed.
Kornheiser, yes, his shtick. Does it work for everybody? No.
Right. He plays the Ed McMahon role.
He does, but I
mean,
think I relate more to Kornheiser.
All right.
I appreciate his wit.
But the reason I'm bringing this up, because they brought something up, it was, they do a Happy Trails or whatever it's called. Juan Marichal, 83rd birthday. And, first Dominican in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And we remember vaguely at the end of his career. We missed his peak, obviously.
Is he the only Dominican to actually use a bat to actually try and kill another baseball player?
That's what's lingering over his legacy is the Johnny Riseborough thing.
Exactly.
And I don't know if it's found it. They ended up becoming great friends,
Okay.
actually.
I get it.
Over the course of time, they became great friends. It was a moment of passion that overcame him, but doesn't diminish his Hall of Fame career.
And I'll give you somebody that I think is kind of in the same boat.
What, a moment in time that
Roberto Alomar Jr. If he didn't do that spitting thing, right?
Agreed.
But he did. And to me,
And he never comes up,
it's the first thing I think of about him.
And even when Joe Morgan passed away, they didn't bring it up about who was the greatest second baseman of all time and the numbers.
No, you get what I'm saying?
Good call, by the way.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
It's a shame.
you're right.
Because he was super talented.
That's a good reference, actually. Numbers were phenomenal. I mean, offensive numbers, way better than Joe
But
Morgan.
my point is, when you think of Juan Marichal
Yeah.
or Roberto Alomar, unfortunately, that may be the first thing you think of is the incident and it diminishes their Hall of Fame.
That was my
careers.
point. And he's 83 years old, but he had a great career, and he was one of our Stratomatic guys. Remember, had
Boy,
the 64 Giants.
If Juan Marichal has dementia, can you imagine? Where's my bat?
Somebody hit me over the head with a bat.
When the nurse comes in to try and give him his meds, give me the bat, Juan.
But I brought that up, and like I said, with pardon the interruption, I do watch it because I actually like it. It's only a half an hour, and they come up with good topics.
They do.
So
They do.
So let's move on, Steve. Our next segment sponsored by Lynch Motors of Manchester, Connecticut. Got an email from the president of Lynch Motors this week.
Yeah.
Checking in on the show and sending some stuff, so we wish them the best, obviously. Let's move on to the national...
Where's that goodie basket that the president of Lynch Motors sent in, by the way?
Oh, he's giving us some hats and shirts
I'm
and
kidding,
stuff.
Mike. Yeah, we appreciate your sponsorship.
So listen, let's move on to the national...
The chocolate-covered pretzels, did you?
with sprinkles. Anyway, but loyal sponsor of the show.
Absolutely, Mike, and I'm kidding.
So let's move on to the NFL, right?
No. You asked me before
Okay.
the show. What is today?
What is today?
Football.
Opening of the Big Ten football season?
Yes.
Okay. Let's
Guess
start
who's
with
in
that.
action today in the state of New Jersey?
Rutgers.
Representing the Big Ten.
Greg Schiano's first game back. Augie Hoffman's first game as a coach.
Nunzio Campanelli. We have some Kevin Bacon stuff, with Rutgers.
We sure do.
They're playing Michigan State.
Yeah, I think it's going to be ugly. Actually.
And Coach, D'Antoni is no longer the head coach of Michigan State.
Right. Amidst the scandal of Michigan State in general.
To me, if he's still, the game probably started already. I'm not sure what time they go off, but
Okay.
you talk about a pretty good bet.
Yeah.
Rutgers is going to lose by at least 20. At least.
Right. And we talked the quarterback situation. When you and I went to the game with Anthony and Teddy a couple of years ago, right?
Anthony Dellarena, Ted Giandana, two of our most loyal listeners,
Right. That
longtime
was
pals.
when Nunzio took the interim reins.
That is correct.
And
He was
Johnny Langdon, former Bergen Catholic quarterback, was there.
Correct.
Doesn't seem like he's in the mix. Looks like they're going back to this guy Sikowski or whatever his name was.
Art.
Artur, not Arthur.
Right.
Anyways, but yeah, you're right. They're in
Bitterman.
You want to double your salary, Bitterman, and open that door. Anyway, but that's So listen, we wish Rutgers the best of luck and so forth. It's the State
Absolutely.
College in New Jersey.
Yeah, right.
Playing the first NCAA college football game ever. Right. But
Paul Robeson.
but we've talked about them being in the Big Ten. They got a long road to hoe to match up with Ohio State, which, by the way, is in action today against Minnesota.
But back to your point about they're in the Big Ten, right? So Rutgers, as bad as the program has been, they've paid their dues, meaning they're almost on the cusp of they're getting an equal share of this revenue that is, we talked about it, of this giant pie of money, right?
Yep.
And that's what it's about.
Yep.
You think Rutgers obviously doesn't want to go 2-9,
2-9.
1-10, 3-8, that type of thing.
So it's a financial
Play in the
thing,
Weed
is what
Eater Poulon Bowl on December 20, right?
And the thing with Rutgers, though, Steve, when you talk about this, is all the talent we talk about in high school football in New Jersey and
Yes.
Augie going there and
Yeah.
so forth. They're going to get more and more players.
I get that.
But as they get more and more quality players, so does Ohio State. So does.
But that's my point. Is I'm not diminishing or mocking Rutgers.
No.
Because I think they have the best people in place,
They do.
right?
Coaching staff.
And like you just talked about it, right? The talent in New Jersey, etc. I pray that this actually formula works, right? But it's
How are you going to climb that hurdle? How
Right.
are you going to get over the hump and say we can compete with Ohio
But
State.
it's small steps, meaning you don't have to think about Ohio State and Michigan and that type of thing. Beat Indiana, beat Northwestern, beat
the teams you should
beat
beat.
the teams you should.
And be competitive in the teams
That's
you
it.
shouldn't.
And I
you know.
swear to God, if Rutgers goes, 8-3 or 7-4, something along those
Which
lines,
they did in the first Shiano era.
then let's talk about the next
I
phase,
got you.
right?
I got you.
But I'm rooting for Rutgers. But my point is, I just don't see light at the end of the tunnel yet.
Right, because we're a big fan of Augie. We're a big fan of Nunzio.
And I hate Shiano.
you know.
I hate him. But you know what? The guy knows his football.
Highest paid social servant in New Jersey. I
Okay,
guess.
so I wanted to go on the record with that. I
Okay.
think he's probably the best guy for the job.
All right. So let's, while we're in the Big Ten, right? We're talking about the class of the Big Ten is Ohio State.
Right.
Right. And I wanted to bring this up also. One of our first interviews was Luke Whippler, St. Joe's guy,
Absolutely.
freshman at Ohio State. And, listen, I watched, Kirk Herbstreit this morning saying these guys are loaded. They lost 10 guys, but you're not even going to notice, right? Justin Fields and so forth. But congratulations to Luke Whippler. Lost his black stripe, which is kind of it's an inside thing about, Urban Meyer. When you're a freshman in Ohio State, you have to wear a black stripe on your helmet.
Yep.
And, until you prove to your teammates, your coaching staff that you're ready to take on this challenge, and he lost his black stripe. And that's a big deal at Ohio
It's
State.
kind of an oxymoron, meaning you earned your stripe.
Right.
But your stripe is,
Very good.
right?
But he's on his way, and let's see what happens. But he's playing for a program Rutgers would have loved to have had, right? He could have been a 4-year anchor at center and so forth, but...
And a little background, his father is Robert, and Robert is the class of 81, and a classmate of Jimbo here, and
My
they
teammate.
had 4 years together.
Yep.
And Robert, the father, when I was the sophomore quarterback...
Real name, Alfred, by the way.
Right, that's a whole show in itself.
Exactly.
But I tell you what, Robert, this guy was perhaps, I think, the finest athlete that I ever played with.
Certainly was the finest athlete I ever played with.
And it's hard for me to, describe. I mean, this guy was probably the finest all-around athlete.
He played football, played baseball, played soccer, for crying out loud.
And the passion that he brought to the field.
Yep.
So that's our connection is we go way back with the father. So when we're talking about Luke Whippler for the next, hopefully,
4 years.
I guess 3, now we have to hope, right? Meaning leaving your junior year and then you get your ticket to the NFL and get your dream.
If you're on a
But
Todd
we want
McShay's
our
draft board.
we want our audience to follow Luke Whippler, who'll be an offensive lineman at Ohio State, probably at center.
Number 53.
Okay, so we're really rooting for him, and he's a great kid.
And I'm glad that you brought the Big Ten up because, you and I sat here about, 2 months ago and said, we're not going to see Ohio State, Michigan, and now we're going to see it, right? And, Jim Harbaugh, 0-5 against Ohio State.
Ah, God.
Ryan Day has a hard-on against...
I can't wait till Harbaugh's 0-6.
That's December 12th or 15th or something.
And again,
like
for
that.
our audience, we talked about it, right? Ryan Day's comment to his team after that little dust up with Harbaugh on a conference call. We're
If
going
I
to
could lay 70
We're going to
on
lay
him.
100 on them.
Okay.
Right? Obviously, they're not.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, Ohio State is going to wipe the floor with Michigan. I'm telling you this year.
Okay. But the Big Ten that we thought 2 months ago wasn't going to happen is happening.
But what do we talk about? Right? The Big Ten is playing. Why? Because they were sitting on their couches a month and a half ago watching college football start, and they looked at each other and said,
Why aren't we playing?
Why are we sitting on the couch here?
Right.
So I'm glad they're back.
Me too. So the game from, I think Michigan is playing Minnesota. That's where ESPN is today, right?
Right.
So, again, we're looking forward to Big Ten football, and we got something to look forward to in December with Ohio State, Michigan.
Right.
And
Coach Craig T. Nelson with Dauber.
no, that was Minnesota State, actually. fictitious. Actually, I don't know if it's fictitious. It may have been Minnesota State.
It was Minnesota.
So I also wanted to mention, while we're talking about college football, one of our listeners, Kenny Backert, big fan of the show, says the lock today, and again, we talk about picks. We'll do
In parentheses,
we'll do our NFL
in
picks.
quotations, lock.
He likes Iowa State over Oklahoma State. Referenced Oklahoma State coach Mike Gundy as Joe Dirt.
Oh, good one.
Yeah, so
Kenneth, I haven't talked to you in a while, but if you're listening,
good one.
outstanding.
And I'm going the other way, though. I think Oklahoma State's going to take that game. That's just our one college pick.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay.
But there's some other good college football games tonight. Notre Dame Pitt. There's been a lot of good history between those two teams. I saw some highlights this morning of Joe Montana. Right?
Hugh Green,
No, we didn't go that far.
Bill
back.
Freilich,
Oh, exactly. 33 number Tony Dorsett.
and on and on and on, right?
But
Actually, one of my picks today, Notre Dame, I lost last week. They're playing Louisville. Remember we talked about it?
They did. They
12 to 7.
yeah, it was
Right?
close. It was close.
I think
I missed that one too, actually, for the record.
I think the Irish are going to smoke Pitt today.
I agree.
I do.
Actually, I agree.
Right?
But who's going to stop Clemson? Is anybody going to stop Clemson? Trevor Lawrence, he's on fire.
No, I think-
and he only has to play a half to throw 5 touchdowns.
Listen, Syracuse is playing them today. Maybe it's Syracuse.
They're gonna beat Syracuse by 40 points.
Before we broadcast, it was 7-0 about 6 seconds into the
Yeah,
game.
so I didn't even
Did you see
that.
the score against Georgia Tech last week?
Yeah,
They laid 73, I think, on Georgia Tech.
right, by halftime.
Clemson is no joke.
I got you.
So while we're on Clemson, let's segue to the NFL.
Yep.
Okay? So Trevor Lawrence, obviously, is...
Probably the number one pick in the draft.
Nah, not probably. I mean, you talk about a lock, okay?
Okay.
So probably since Andrew Luck, that there's a bona fide...
Well, besides Joe Burrow last year.
No, but Andrew Luck, as general consensus...
More than Burrow?
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on. Heisman
Absolutely.
Trophy winner. Come on. National championship. Whatever.
I'm talking bona fide NFL prospect quarterback,
Okay.
right? And the reason I say it is Gil Brandt, who thank God is still with us, right?
Yeah.
Gil Brandt, I read recently, and again, Trevor Lawrence is a junior now. But
He's coming out. He's coming out.
But for Gil Brandt to say this quote, which I saw this week, was Gil Brandt watched Trevor Lawrence as a freshman. And if Gil Brandt said, this is the finest quarterback prospect I've ever seen in my life.
That's a big statement.
I mean,
Wow.
big?
I mean, it was
Universal.
and it was a big controversy when Dabo made that decision to go with Trevor Lawrence.
Absolutely.
And,
And jettison the kid, the starter.
Yeah.
And my point being is the New York Jets are so bad. And it's actually worth a debate at another time. Are they purposely this bad? Or are they just bad to the level of how bad they are? But
I got an encyclopedia of reasons,
But I had
to
it.
talk about
The
it.
reason I bring this up is at work, my day job. My coworker is a diehard. They're all Jet fans, right?
Right.
So I made the observation. I said, "Do you know what's unique about the Jets? As inept as they've been for as long as they've been, it's not the same administration, right? Like year after year after year. What's unique about the Jets is they hire people, and when they hire these people, they're hiring in their mind the best people for the job to improve against the ridiculous regime that they're being hired for,
And
right?
we're just sports talk show guys, and we go, really? That's the best guy you could
So
pick for
I
that
could go
position?
on all day about this. My point is the consistency of hiring
Inept guys.
inept people after inept people
Let
to
it work.
fix the ineptitude of the previous, right? And here we are. Adam Gase is on the sideline, right? You see Joe Douglas in the booth. doing his, hand over the face. Like,
If he had hair, he'd be pulling it out.
right. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you have Buck Henry, of course, who's the ambassador to London, the owner, right? For our fans, Get Smart creator with Mel Brooks, the late Buck Henry, who was a notable passing this
That
year.
was my reference, by the way. That he
But
was
totally. I mean, but you get what I'm saying?
Yep. And you know
And
what?
I feel bad for Jet fans because Joe Willie Namath, and yes, they win the Super Bowl. Okay, but they might as well. It's like watching George Washington beat the British.
I get it.
Right? We weren't around for this, and
Yep.
you admire it, right?
But I'm glad you brought that
I think
up.
the Jets are going. My point is, I think the Jets are a lock for the number one pick.
And
And bye bye Sam Darnold. Hopefully you get a backup job in California or something,
But I got
etc.
We got an email today, and it was brought up by Jim Walsh about Trevor Lawrence and the Jets and how inept they are. And I said, if I'm Trevor Lawrence and he's going to be the number one pick, and the Jets are going to tank just to get that pick, or they're
Yeah.
going to replace Sam Darnold. If I'm Trevor Lawrence, I'm saying I'm either staying back in school or I'm going to pull a John Elway and say, I'm not signing with you guys. So, maybe that's the turnaround for the Jets. They can get 4 number ones for him. But
Did you mean John Elway or pulling Eli Manning?
I think
But
the
the
Elway
premise
was
is the same,
I got you.
right? It's Elway, of course, when you think of that.
Yeah.
But Eli Manning, let's not forget, pulled the exact same thing.
But that
He
was
goes,
already-
I'm not playing for you.
But that was already orchestrated.
But you
They
know
knew
what
they
I'm
were going to
saying.
draft Rivers first and then Manning next and
But
make the
you
trade.
understand what I'm saying.
But anyway,
I don't think it gets to that level. Trevor Lawrence, the New York Jets select Trevor Lawrence. I don't think there's going to be any
Hey, but from week to week,
thing of that nature.
But from week to week, these guys are talking about Sam Darnold. He was going to be the savior, and I've been saying he's not that guy. But now if you're faced with this and they do go 2-14 or whatever it is, they're going to be forced to take Trevor Lawrence and send Sam Darnold packing, right?
But I don't think they're going to be forced to. Back to the Gil Brandt quote.
If you can get
This is a special kid, and I think he is.
But does he want to play for the New York
What did the
Jets?
What did the Cardinals do? They drafted Josh Rosen, and then shit canned him.
I got to say, I
Right?
missed that one.
I mean, again,
I actually thought
back
he
to
was,
the premise. We talked about Sam Bradford as the last quarterback to have this ridiculous contract. It's now manageable somewhat financially, is my point.
I got you.
Goodbye, Sam Darnold. I mean, let's be real here. Plus the Jets, listen, they traded Jamal Adams. So this guy Douglas, right? And here we go again, to my point.
Well, they got 2 number ones for
But
Adams.
that's my point for the last 4 decades, okay? All right, so the Jets got this, blah, blah, blah. And at some point it has to stop. That actually they may draft capital that may turn into pieces that actually may help them become a
I
competitive
get you.
team with the resources that they have. That's my point.
But 4 number one draft picks, somehow the Jets will screw it up and draft 2 out of 4 guys. I'm still Keenan Williams looks like he could be a player at some point. So that wasn't a bad pick. Not knocking
Really?
that.
I mean, when they're in the news for an indiscretion on this, that, and the other thing, I mean, it just doesn't stop.
All right.
But you get what I'm saying.
But as far as while we're in New York, we'll talk about Daniel
Quentin
Jones,
Williams, in my opinion, is turning into Leonard Williams. Right?
who, by the way, is playing pretty good for the New York Giants.
Okay, but we thought this guy was going to be
No.
Merlin Olsen, Deacon Jones combined.
Fred
Yes.
Dean, no.
Yeah, we did.
All right. You're right. Okay. But he's on the Giants now. And before we move off to our picks of the week, right?
Right.
Steve and I, we
Okay.
take 2 picks a week.
Yeah.
The Giants. And I thought you misconstrued my saying about Daniel Jones. I am all in, and no question about it.
Uh-huh.
Yes, he's been fumbling the ball, but did he cause the Giants to lose to the Eagles 22-21 on Monday Night Football? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Did he look, slapstick comedy running down the field, trying to get into the end zone from a 90-yard run and fall at the 10? Yes.
Okay.
But I like that kid. And I think the Giants...
So when you're looking at him right now,
Yes, I'm all in.
The number. So you still feel he's worthy of the number 6 overall draft?
I do.
pick? Okay. Good.
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Despite the slapstick comedy that you just saw.
Okay. Well,
Which happens. Don't get me wrong.
and I write it off to he's only
It
2
happens.
years into the league.
it happens. I get it.
15 games into his career. I think
Right.
I
So-
like him.
So you're gonna.
I like the way he throws the ball, and I like his mobility. Something
What
the
I will
Giants
tell
have
you
now.
is, I don't think he'll be Mark Sanchez with the butt fumble type of ridiculous, because we knew Mark Sanchez, and actually Mark Sanchez, the more I think about it,
I kinda-
is such an anomaly. The
thought he was good.
New York Jets get to the freaking
championship game twice.
exactly with the most buffoonery coach in the history of in our opinion, right?
And now
with
Jet fans are longing for Ryan.
Mark Sanchez as the quarterback, correct? But when we think of Mark Sanchez, as we were watching Mark Sanchez, we never thought he was right.
I kind of liked him. He was in the Ken O'Brien
But you
era.
get what I'm
know.
saying,
I
right?
do. But like I said, I'm
My
all in
point
on
is
Jones.
about Daniel Jones. I hope he doesn't turn into Mark Sanchez.
He's not. He would.
Okay.
He would have turned into him already. He's not Dave Brown.
Well, it took
He's-
Sanchez 4 years to turn into Mark Sanchez that we now know.
No, I like this kid. I'm all in.
Listen, I'm
I'm all
rooting
in, and I'm not changing my tune. I thought you misconstrued that, saying he's got a lot to prove.
Who's asking you to change your tune? I'm not asking you to change your tune.
Anyway, before we move off to the NFL, here's my 2 picks: Bills, Jets. Bills will roll. They lost 2 games in a row. They're a good team.
Let me think about this one.
I'm going all in
Let
on
me
the
see,
Bills.
The Bills have lost 2 in a row.
They're gonna crush it. They're gonna crush it.
Next, please.
Next pick: Rams over Bears.
Rams
am I
over
sold,
Bears.
Am I sold on the Bears being 4-2 or 5-1, whatever they are? No. And contrary to your guy Mitch Wilson, who's from the Pick Dogs, said Jared Goff is a joke.
Yep.
He's no joke to me. I like him. I'm taking him over the Bears.
That's fine.
Those are my 2 picks. Your 2 picks before we move on?
I mean, death taxes and the Bills over the Jets. Let's be real.
Okay. Well, that's a lock. They call that a lock in sports betting.
Yes,
Or-
I'm trying to paraphrase
And
here.
I'm not plugging Dual Kings or FanDuel or whatever it is.
Whatever.
Uh,
I think the Dallas Cowboys
over the Washington football team?
over the Washington Redskins.
Football team.
Redskins.
Okay, let's move on. There you go, guys. We got our 2 picks, our 2 locks of the week. You're going to have to call them the Washington football team because that's going to be their team next year, too.
They're
name
Wa-
of the team.
They're the Washington Redskins.
Okay. Okie doke.
And if you have a problem with it, of course, send an email with sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com. But I think the audience understands my position.
I got you.
They're the Washington Redskins.
Okay.
Do I find that offensive? Not in the slightest.
Nor do I, actually, but it's Daniel.
I get it.
Daniel Snyder had to change the name because Federal Express would have said we're going packing.
Exactly.
Horrible way to do it when you're an entrepreneur and,
Right.
and you own a team. But
I mean, I've been trying to find some Washington Football Club stuff, that the logo's awesome.
love that big W.
Love that.
Hey, they kept the colors. Let's give them that, right? So listen, one other thing before we
Isn't
move-
that nice that they let them keep actually the colors of the franchise? Wow, what a concession.
right? That Federal Express had changed the color to white, blue, and red. right?
Exactly.
Exactly. Right.
Ridiculous.
So listen, we're talking about all these sports and so forth, and I'm not sure where I heard it, but we're talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning. They won the NHL championship, right? And now Tampa Bay.
They won the Stanley Cup, not championship.
You know what I'm talking
Yes,
about. But
okay.
I'm saying,
I had to correct you.
how many times has the same city won a championship, right?
How many times? That's a good question.
Right, so Tampa Bay could, the Rays, if they win it, that's the Lightning and the Rays. And going back time, right? Pittsburgh, 79, the Steelers won it, and the Pirates won it.
We are family.
The
Remember that?
Lakers and Dodgers back in probably 88.
Yeah, probably.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of interesting,
That's a
though.
cool thing.
Right? Yeah, it's kind of cool.
It is.
If we would go way, way back, I think the Red Wings and the Lions actually were championship. You know, probably Eddie LeBaron was the
Oh,
quarterback.
Bobby Lane.
One Gordon Howe for the Red Wings. Anyway.
Alex Del Vecchio.
But I just wanted to bring that up. So that's kind of cool for Tampa Bay. You know, if the Rays win.
Dick Night Train Lane.
I thought that was cool, though, right?
Absolutely.
Same city, same town.
Totally.
Right? But how many times did the Yankees win it, and but nobody else won it, right? You know, the
Right,
Giants didn't win
and
it.
the Jets went 1-15. Yeah, I get you. No, I'm kidding.
Yep. But anyway, that's kind of an off the beaten path thing I wanted to do. But listen, before we're getting close to the end of the show, and I wanted to bring up our notables. But first, of course, one of our sponsors, D. Filippi's Bakery in Monticello, New York. And again, when you talk about loyal sponsors of the show, they've been right with us from step one. Moving on to our notable passings, and this is a segment we usually close with, but I got a few things I wanted to bring up. First of all, it's my youngest daughter's 29th birthday coming up on Monday.
You're kidding me.
No. I got sneakers older than 29.
How long has she been 29 for the last 30 years?
But happy
The
birthday.
women joke thing, you know what I mean.
But happy
How old are you?
birthday.
Oh, God, I wish I was 29 again.
to my
Happy
daughter,
birthday.
Danielle.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday.
Danielle Rose.
29. But our notable passings, and let's talk about this. First, I want to say, since this is a sports show, obviously, Bill Mathis,
Right?
original member of the Jets when they were the Titans back
Correct.
in 1960.
Correct.
Actually led the league, which I don't understand because I don't know where Jim Brown was back in 1963 or 4. He led the league.
Yeah, he was probably filming with Raquel Welch on the set of.
He could have been doing Kelly's Heroes. But anyway,
The Dirty Dozen
But Bill Mathis, 81 years old,
Yep.
original member,
of the Titans.
and he was on that Super Bowl team,
Yes, he
the
was.
Joe Namath team. So
Absolutely.
that's a big thing for Jet fans, and I know they remember. Didn't have a big game in the Super Bowl. That was Emerson Boozer and whatever, but
Right.
solid guy, class act, became a very prominent, member of the business community and social.
Hence, a notable passing. To
You
make
bet.
our show,
You bet.
R.I.P. Bill Mathis.
Right.
Well done.
From a Titan to a Jet,
Well done.
and he was awesome.
Yep.
Couple of Spencer Davis from the world of entertainment. This is the music business, and you and I. Give me some.
Was
lovin'.
he in like that, like Spencer Davis? What was it? Spencer Davis group?
I think that was him. But think of what spawned off that group, right? Steve Winwood and
Oh,
he
absolutely.
formed Traffic and so
Totally.
forth. But he had two big hits, Spencer Davis in England. But his biggest hit, obviously, in the United States was "Give Me Some Lovin'," and it was awesome.
Absolutely. Spencer Davis, yeah. I mean, to your point, I mean, a guy like Steve Winwood, I love Steve Winwood.
And his brother Muff,
Yeah.
I believe his brother Muff.
Right. So R.I.P. Spencer Davis. Spencer
Yep.
Davis Group.
And I have a couple others here, and I don't know if we brought this up, Steve. Did we bring up Helen Cunning last week, which was a notable passing close to our family?
Yeah, I think we did the show and then we got word of it afterward.
Right.
So
So I
very
wanted to bring
prominent
that up.
Hoboken family. So go ahead.
Kind of considered, quote unquote, the matriarch of Hoboken, which is big.
Absolutely.
And Helen Cunning, very close.
Irish? Cunning?
Very-
Irish?
Very Irish. Only bred, cops and firemen and
Really?
everything.
Really?
But very close to the Monahan family. Big loss. They gave from what I understand, a beautiful ceremony in Hoboken
well
last week.
attended during this COVID thing type
Yep.
of thing, and unfortunately, Jim and I couldn't make it in person, but we spoke to Bill Coughlin, who is married to Helen, one
Considered
of the
the
daughters.
eighth Monahan. That's how close he is
Right.
to this family.
So we wanted to acknowledge our
Yep.
absolute notable passing,
And I have one more. As you guys know, I brought it up before. I'm a graduate of Niagara University, and
You are?
I lost a classmate of mine, Thomas
Uh-oh.
Spath, from Rochester, New York. And I just saw Tom at my reunion about 5 years ago. One of the great, classy, funny guys, of our class, and it came as kind of a big shock to our class, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
And he was a great guy, and we wish his family all the best. Tom passed away from cancer. But when you lose somebody at that age, he's only 58 years old. It's too young to go. We know that. But we know, the law of averages, somebody's going to get there sooner than the others.
Right.
But he was a great guy, and I wanted to wish all the best to his family and up in Rochester, New York.
All right. Sorry to hear that. And
Yep.
unfortunately, I've experienced some losses of dear friends
Yep.
from college and so on.
When we talk about notables, that's notable when he's a close personal friend of yours.
Okay, yes, absolutely. It's home, right?
But listen, thanks again for joining us, everybody. And again, like Steve brought up before, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email at sportswithmono@gmail.com. And enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the thing. The Masters is coming up. Lots of sports going on.
Right.
But
I mean, Rory and Ricky. I mean, Jim's standard.
just for the record, I haven't made my picks yet.
I feel pretty good. It's going to be Rory or Ricky.
Okay, well, we'll talk about
Smart
it next
ass.
week. Well, listen, thanks everybody for joining us, and look forward to talking to you guys next week. And please send us an email, send us some comments.
Absolutely.
And
Good,
thanks.
good, bad, and different.
You bet. Enjoy the weekend.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.